Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot today. I am oh sorts of excited. It's game day. Week 2, Jets are taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. New York Jets trying to capture win 2 of the season. Zach Wilson gets the start. I want to talk about some of the keys to the game for today. Quick stream before the 1 o'clock games get started, so we'll do this for about a half hour. So if you're hopping in, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see here. But let's hop into some of my key takeaways or keys to the game in general. And this is going to be pretty easy for me. First and foremost, you got to win the trenches. And this is on both sides of the ball. On the defensive side, you've got a strong Jets defense. Came out really hot against Josh Allen last week. Caused all sorts of problems. 5 sacks, 4 turnovers. Can the Jets duplicate that type of performance against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys? Now, the offensive line for the Cowboys is a little banged up. We got Chuma Edoga on the other side of the field. You got Zach Martin all banged up. So the Jets and Quinnen Williams going to try and rip apart the offensive line. Generate some pressure. Stop the run on early downs. Get them behind the chains. Long downs and distances. That's how you wind up winning this game. Can the Jets keep CeeDee Lamb in check? That is a good offense. Dak provides a similar style of gameplay to Josh Allen in that he can move around and create some more with his legs. Now, can we force him into the same types of turnovers, same types of mistakes? Josh Allen tries to play a lot of hero ball. Will Dak be pressured into the same sort of thing? Can Aaron Rodgers, for the week that he's been away from the team with his surgery, has he provided any insight into what Mike McCarthy may wind up like doing as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator? Things that could provide some insight. Remember, Aaron Rodgers had a great record in, what's the name of that stadium? AT&T? Is that what it's called? Whatever the Cowboy, the $1 billion playpen. Great record inside there. Alternatively, on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys, on the offensive side for the New York Jets, the Jets' offensive line is still gelling together. So we are still going to need a lot of help chipping some of these guys, especially Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons coming off the right-hand side with Mekhi Becton. He is blazing fast. I do expect him to beat Becton a few times today. I think in order to try and neutralize that, you got to run the ball real well. You have to be able to hit the screen passes like Zach was hitting last week, and you want to give him a little bit of help on the edge. Throw Uzama, throw Ruckert over there. Give Parsons one shot, one hit prior to him taking on Mekhi, so he's not just pinning his ears back and coming at us with everything he's got. He's one of the most talented defensive linemen in the league right now. I don't think you can allow him to tee off on our guys. Now, obviously, you got Dexter Lawrence on the other side. Can the Jets' offensive line provide enough time? If I'm Zach Wilson, I'm saying 1,000, 2,000, ball needs to come out now, or take off and run. I would like to see a little more RPO, try to keep the Dallas defense off balance. So if you're trying to get Parsons to come in, well, guess what? Now you have maybe a little play out into the flat or something like that, just to neutralize that pass rush. Make him think twice before he just puts 100 miles an hour towards the quarterback. And I think that's where you can try to neutralize this Cowboys defense. Their secondary is really good. Trayvon Diggs, I don't want Zach Wilson throwing the ball real far. Now, our offensive line does wind up coming into play when you consider how far you want to push the ball down the field at any given time, because if your offensive line can't block the way you want them to block, at least right now. I think they are going to get better as the season progresses and as they get more time playing together. But if you don't have time to have those long developing plays down the field, those double move type wide receiver plays, don't force it. You're going to have opportunities. Use the play action with the run game. Try to catch him on a double move. Trayvon Diggs is going to try and jump some of these routes. I think if you can catch him on a double move, you'll be able to get something over the top. But you want to rely on the run game early and often. I want to rely on the tight ends. We ran a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets last week. We didn't see Hardman at all on offense. So how do the Jets approach this Cowboys team? And how do the Jets want to try and, how much leash does Zach Wilson have? That, to me, is going to be a really interesting thing. How much do they trust him to push the ball down the field? Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, you guys need to feast. That Cowboys linebacking core, not 100% great. I think if there's a weakness on this Cowboys defense, that's the area to try and target. So tight ends, running game, Let's get it done. Now, other big things. Jets don't have their kicker. We do not have Greg Zuerlein for today. This guy has been automatic from damn near everywhere on the field. Can our new kicker come in and provide us at least some stability? How long are we going to have to be without Zuerlein? We don't know how serious his groin injury is. But he was responsible for 7 points last week. 7 points. 7? 10. 10 points. Is it 3 field goals? 1, 2, 3, 4. I do this every time. I think it was 3 field goals and an extra point. Important stuff. Got to be able to score those easy points. It's the NFL equivalent of a free throw. You have to be able to hit those 3 points. And Zach Wilson hasn't had the best success in terms of converting drives into touchdowns. He wind up stalling out a lot inside the 35-yard line, and I don't want to see that. I want to be able to finish drives this week. Hopefully that happens with the run game. You can kind of stay ahead of the chains on that respect, but I want to see that first and foremost. So let's see. We've talked about defensive line. We've talked about offensive line. We've talked about Zach Wilson. We've talked about the kicking game. That, to me, that's like the biggest factors overall. I am curious to see how the Jets' weapons, Lazard and Garrett and Cobb, anyone else they're using on the outside, how they perform today. I would expect we're not going to see a crazy passing day from Zach Wilson. I would expect under 200 yards, and that would make me feel comfortable because that means we're hopefully running the ball really well. So just my thoughts on that. I want to hop over to the Underdog side of things. So as you guys know, Underdog has decided to sponsor the channel for the season. And if you guys want to play along, lots of fun. They have some really cool contests each week where you can create some multipliers and get yourself an opportunity to win some pretty cool stuff. So as you see here, as you stack different contests for highers or lowers, you're going to be able to see the multipliers kick in. So for this, let's say we're going to throw in, throw $10 at this. So we're going to create some contests. And we're going to go through here. If you'd like to play along, you can go to Underdog Fantasy, promo code JETS247, and they will match your first deposit up to $100, 100% match. It's a lot of fun. I've had a good amount of fun playing with this throughout the beginning parts of the season. So let's see. With Zach Wilson, I want to pick one of these categories. So the whole thing is you got to pick, you can play across any different team, but you got to play at least 2 different teams. So we're going to play one for the Cowboys, and then the rest for the Jets or, other teams that we kind of see fit in here. Let's see. I see Chris hopped in. Chris, let me throw your chat up on the screen real fast. Sorry about that. Chris coming in says, how many RPOs the Jets and Wilson have today? I hope it's a lot. I mean, that's one thing they haven't really done with Zach Wilson is the RPO. You don't see much of it. Like there was a little bit that you got to see with the Garrett Wilson touchdown last week where it was supposed to be a run and Zach switched it to a throw. It wasn't, I don't know. I want to see Zach be able to take off with his legs too. That's kind of where I'm at with that, Chris. But as far as his passing yards, 185.5, that feels pretty close to where he's going to be. That's not one I would try to touch. When I'm looking at everything else here, I would say, I could see over the 11.95 fantasy points because it would not shock me if Zach ends up getting a rushing touchdown today in conjunction with a passing touchdown. And that in and of itself with a few passing yards, he should be over that. So I'm going to go with the over on his fantasy points. That's not a crazy thing to beat. I'm definitely taking the higher on Breece Hall. There's no way 38.5. Jets are going to feed this dude. I would even take the over or higher on Dalvin Cook as well. But you know what? With Cook, I'm going to take the higher on the 47.5 rushing and receiving. I feel like that's the money play right there. It seems like they liked getting him involved a little bit in the passing game. So we've got 3 of our multipliers already, and that's pretty straightforward. The ones that screwed me last week, Tyler Conklin and Randall Cobb. They did not get the looks that I thought they would get because Aaron Rodgers went down. Aaron Rodgers was leaning heavily on him, both those guys, in training camp. I would not touch them in terms of Zach Wilson today. I feel like Garrett Wilson, they're just asking for of any of the Garrett Wilson ones, the fantasy points is the only one I would consider. of going higher. I think the under on the receiving yards is entirely possible. I think receptions, if the Jets are going to run the ball as much as they are, I don't know how comfortable I'd feel going with Garrett today. Now, after this week, if we wind up having a good go about it, maybe I switch my feelings towards Zach, but right now, I'd probably avoid that. Let's see. You know what? I don't love the rest of these. I hate picking defensive stats. I hate picking how many tackles someone's going to have. So I'm going to skip that stuff, and I'm going to go directly to the Cowboys, and let's see what they have on here and see what the Jets could probably hold these guys to. So they're projecting 68.5 rushing yards from Pollard. Let's see. I would say I guess let's look at Dak first. Let's see if we think Dak is going to do what he's going to do. 1.5 touchdowns. I don't want to touch that because as much as I love the Jets defense, that's not a crazy stat to break. And it's total touchdowns, not passing touchdowns. We got passing yards, rushing yards, completions, fantasy points, total yards, 235. Do we really think 235 yards from Dak Prescott? All right, I'm going to skip Dak for right now. Take a look at Tony Pollard. 0.5 touchdowns. I would not touch that. Again, I do think there's an opportunity for them to score on the ground, and Pollard's one of their best guys, so I'm not looking to touch that one. Fantasy points, though, 16.25. That feels like a lot going against this Jets defense. So I'm going to come back to that. I might wind up changing the lower on the fantasy points for Pollard. CeeDee Lamb, 5.5 receptions, 61.5 receiving yards. You know what? I'm going to take the lower. I'm going to take the lower on the receptions for Lamb. That may sound a little crazy. Maybe that'll come back to bite me. But I think it's possible he gets some yards and he gets some yak. But I think I'm going to go with the lower in terms of receptions. What else they got? 7.5 kicking points for Aubrey. I usually don't mind going with a kicker if I feel confident one way or the other, but this is saying they're going to get 2 field goals and an extra point. Actually, no. It's saying at least 3 field goals or 2 field goals and 2 extra points. I'm going to go with the lower. Lower, or if it's 3 field goals. If it's 3 field goals, he gets it, though. This is the stuff that makes me think. You know what? I feel a little more confident going up here with either Dak or Tony Pollard. Let's say Dak, 29.5 passing attempts. Oh, man. I'll be honest, I am not real confident on where I see these totals. I feel like they have these dialed in this week. Fantasy points. Let's go with the lower on Tony Pollard for the total. We'll say rushing yards, 91.5. Rushing and receiving yards. I think he's going to get less than that. The Jets are going to key in on those 2 guys. That's Lamb and Pollard. Man, I'll be honest, I do not feel as confident as I normally feel with this pick'em stuff, but that's kind of where I'd go. So what we're looking at here, you got Zach Wilson, higher than 12 fantasy points. Breece Hall, higher than 38.5 rushing yards. Dalvin Cook, higher than 47.5 rushing and receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb, under 6 receptions. He's got to get lower than 6 receptions right now. Pollard, lower than 91.5 rushing and receiving yards total. So that's where I'm going to wind up lining up all my my contests for today. I see a few comments in the chat I want to hop over to. I see Ant Jets coming in. Whoops, sorry, dude. Let me pull this up real quick. Huh. And Jets comes in and says, I think we steamroll Dallas. How do you think it makes the rest of the team feel being a 10-point dog with no Rodgers? I'll be honest, I didn't realize we were 10-point dogs in this game. They are putting a lot of stock in Rodgers being out when the Jets just took care of business against, I think, a better team in Buffalo. Emotions high. The Jets could have fallen flat on their face. This, to me, does not smell right. 10-point dog, no Rodgers. This Jets team is going to come out fired up. I want to see some sacks. I want to stay on this sack train. You got 5 sacks last week. If you get 5 sacks this week, feeling pretty good about that sack record, baby. Brian Bogan comes in. Says, can we agree Milano should be public enemy number 1? That dude is dirty and clearly hits to injure. That hit on Zach last week was bad and should have been flagged. Yeah, there was a few times where this has been an issue. He had the hit on Zach clearly to the head. Zach got hit in the helmet too with just a fan, like a hand that like pulled him sideways. There was a few different situations where plays should have been called in favor of the Jets and they were not. And it's like, okay, we lose the star quarterback. Are we all of a sudden getting reverted back to like, oh, sorry, we're not going to throw roughing the passer calls to you because, you're the Jets. I want to see these calls actually called the right way. And Zach should have been the beneficiary of a few shots last week. But he's got to get the ball out. I don't want to see him getting too many hits. Vladdy P comes in and says, Dak will implode. Take that to the bank. I think our defense is going to pin their ears back and really get after him. I very much don't think Dak is going to perform great. The 1.5 touchdowns, though, is what concerns me because I do think he's going to be able to throw one, obviously, and I think he is very capable of running one in. So I don't want to touch the contests with Dak because of that. I see Dallas in here. What's up, Dallas? How you doing? Dallas says, what's up, Ryan? Last week, I had a 5-leg pick'em. 4 legs hit. I had 1 leg left for Monday Night Football. Garrett Wilson over his 66-ish yards. Rodgers goes down, and so does my pick'em for 2K. Dude, my pick'em last week, I had... It's funny, because if you do Underdog Fantasy and your first contest that you join, they give you like a free tile, basically, like 1 free leg of that parlay, and it was Rodgers getting at least half a yard, and that's the one I picked because I was like, well, okay, that's my free tile, sure. He winds up not getting any yardage. Now, Underdog did wind up giving everyone the Rodgers over 0.5 tile, like as a freebie. I think just for being like, hey, I'm sorry that he got hurt. But that one screwed me. And I had Cobb and Conklin with not major yardage. But if Rodgers is in, I think I hit it, and I would have wound up getting, I think $400 was what my contests were last week. The ones I have this week, I have 2 that are, I think I have a $20 and a $10 one for multiplier. So I think I can get up to $600 this week. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. If you guys have fun with some of these higher or lower contests and you want to support the channel, it's actually a really fun way to watch football on Sunday. You could actually do it throughout the game too. You don't have to have it all set beforehand. Will B comes in with a super chat, says, if the Cowboys were playing Arizona today, the spread would have been close to 10. Are we really that bad? This spread is so disrespectful. I've been mad for days about it. Yeah, so if we're 10-point dogs, I don't know how you don't take the Jets and the points the whole time. I still think the Jets can definitely win this game too. So you could even take Jets money line, but I would take the spread all damn day. If they're saying, oh yeah, Jets can't get within 10 points, this is going to be a close game. This is going to be a really close game. Unless Zach starts turning the ball over at an insane clip, which I don't think is going to happen, the Jets have the running backs. We have the stable of weapons to take that pressure off Zach. As long as they're able to get that down in distance in a reasonable, manner, and they're not sitting behind the sticks at 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8 consistently. If we're going to have 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, Jets are going to be just fine today. Dallas says, yes, I saw you posted that picture on YouTube. I don't know which one you're talking about. unless it wasn't directed at me. What picture did I post? I don't remember what I posted. Louis B says, I liked Milano, but when he taunted Zach, he can now get the 2 middle fingers up. That's why your sorry ass team lost. I love a little hate in football, don't you? Like, as much as it's like, okay, it's a team sport, you want to have good sportsmanship and all that, and I understand kids are watching, but like, I love some hate in football. I want the players that are on the rival team, the Patriots, the Bills, the Dolphins. I don't want my players being friendly with those players. I want them to hate them as much as I hate them. Milano's a good villain. Good football player. Joe West says, who cares about the spread? Don't have to care about the spread. You just got to score more points than the other team. But it's disrespect. And anything you can spin and put on the Jets side of things where it's like, hey, look what they're saying about us. They don't believe we could do this. More firing power. Angel says, Zerline can have my groin. Wait. You can have mine too. I'm done with it. I got 2 kids. I'm good to go. Take mine. You can have it. Just make some kicks, boy. Hawk says Zach is going to play safe and Dak is going to try and be hero like Josh Allen did. The result, like Josh Allen did, and the result will be similar. If we can force Dak into hero ball, our defense will take advantage of it. I hope we can get him into that like uncomfortable down and distance for himself. Stackhouse says Breece Hall 20 need a jersey ASAP. Mine is in the closet. I wore that last week. I'm rocking the mangold today. Just switching it up. I've got my Quinnen in there too. Maybe I'll throw the Quinnen on. I might wear the Quinnen today. After the game, we'll do a live recap. I usually do about a half hour. Last week, I was obviously at the game, so I wasn't able to do it. But after the game ends, we'll hop on. I think I have the ability to show Robert Saleh's press conference too after. So we might be able to listen to it together and then discuss it a little bit further. But I want to get into your comment questions and everything, talk about the stats of the game and my raw reactions before actually putting together a more formal video that I'll do throughout the night. And as always, I'll have my Zach Wilson every throw video up. That should be out today by the end of the day. And I should do an every run. People do tend to like that. It was Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook last week. If you guys want to see that, hit the like button to let me know that you at least want me to spend the time and do it, because I don't make any money off any of the highlight stuff, so it's kind of free time things. But I enjoyed doing it. It's fun. And I get to watch the game multiple times. When I'm doing the editing for the every throw, I've seen each throw by the Jets like 4 times before the next play like even starts. It's crazy. Or before the next drive even starts. I'm editing usually in between drives. Grills says the Jets are 5-0 and Zach Wilson and Hall are starting, so we will see if that continues. Ooh, that makes me excited. Mitt Flair says, anyone else got Breece in fantasy? I do. I have him in 2 of my 4 leagues. I got Garrett in 1 or 2 leagues, and the leagues that I didn't get Garrett in, I tried to get Breece in. Feeling a lot more comfortable with the Breece pick right now, unless Garrett and Wilson really start clicking on all cylinders. David K says, is it possible we put a 40 burger on him? I hope so. I don't know, though. It's going to be a little bit of a tough task. That's a really good defense. I don't see a 40 burger coming today. Radimus Prime celebrates 9 months membership, says 28-13 Jets. I hope so. I want this game to not be close. Like, call us 10-point dogs and then, watch us thump you. That's what I want to happen. Will B says, I got my Sanchez jersey on. This is the 2009 Team 2.0. Let's get that W. Brian says, worst teams have done well with lesser quarterbacks than Zach, and now he has Rodgers as a mentor. He's got Rodgers as a mentor, and Zach didn't have crazy stats last year when we were on that 5-1 run or whatever he was on as our starter. But we have a better team this year than last year. We've got Cook. You've got Lazard. You've got Hardman. You've got Cobb. A healthy O-line. A good offensive coordinator. I think the shift from Hackett to LaFleur cannot be understated. Cannot be understated. Lewis B. Don't be surprised if Hackett has Zach throw the ball on all 3 downs on the first drive to loosen him up. As long as they're high completion throws. Like, I want to see like a screen pass, like neutralize that rush early on. Get them thinking like, oh shit, we shouldn't be blitzing right now. We shouldn't be stacking the box with 8. Free up that ability to let Zach wheel and deal. I don't want them pinning their ears back on him. Matthew says, Saints or Chargers defense in fantasy. I have to look who they're playing. I don't know who they're playing offhand. I don't want to tell you. One way or the other. Blitzcrew says, Dak and Josh in same league turnover-wise. We have a chance here with the running game. Yeah, keep Dak off the field. Keep the Cowboys offense off the field. Make him feel pressured. The Jets start scoring some points, and he has to come back. He's going to force some throws, and this defense is going to make him pay for it. Hawk says, Dak is like Josh Allen without the rushing ability. I think Dak has the rushing ability. He doesn't have the same rushing ability as Josh, which I think is probably what you're saying here. But very similar style. I think Dak might have it a little bit more on the quarterback front, where Josh may have it a little bit more on the running front, at least right now. Josh tends to play hero ball a little bit more than Dak. Will B says, take a bite of that cereal for every Brees first down. I got my Brees box right there. Mitt Flair, we just need Zach to be average. Come on. That's all we need. Rely on your playmakers. Joe S. says, Josh Allen has regressed without Daboll. I agree. Him missing Daboll is a big part of why he's kind of seen that decline. I think Daboll knew how to minimize the turnovers, which is why you saw Danny Dimes start to wean down on those turnovers last year. I do think Dimes will probably wind up having a better go about it as the season moves on. I think week 1 was a little more of an aberration than anything else. Hawk says, Rico, if you turn the volume up loud enough, you can hear Dak's deep ball quack. Throwing ducks up there? Is that what you're saying? I like it. Blitzcrew says, skipping the Jets donuts today from Dunkin', weren't too lucky last week. Dude, I didn't realize that was only a Sunday thing. I went into work on Wednesday, and I was like, oh, I see a Jets donut. I'm going to get myself a Jets donut, make myself feel a little better. They're like, yeah, we don't have those. I was like, wow. Okay, whatever. You just advertise them on your little board, but you don't have them. I see how it is. Douglas dropping in. What's up, Douglas? He says, besides the Rodgers and Hackett influence, there's also natural growth and maturation. Zach has historically made a big leap in year 3. I think this cannot be understated. Not just the Rodgers and the Hackett influence, but the growth from last year, the maturity with his teammates. You look at how he was handed the job the last 2 years while there were better quarterbacks on the roster. This year, he had to sit behind the best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now, you have an opportunity. Sorry. Getting over a little bit of a cold. Now you have an opportunity where Zach has earned this spot that he's currently in. Not by, obviously, skill overtaking Rodgers, but by virtue of being the best quarterback on the roster right now. The team is behind him. They've bought in. I think he has earned the respect of his teammates. And I do think Hackett is going to be a huge influence here. LaFleur kind of put Zach in a box, and I want to see how Hackett sort of unleashes Zach. Because I want Zach to be able to react. I don't want him to overthink too much of what's going on today. That's why I want to see the RPOs. Let him use his athleticism to try and beat the Cowboys defense. Just don't let him get in a situation where he feels like he's got to push the ball downfield. And I think with Brees and AVT in the lineup, I don't think he's necessarily going to feel that way. But you got to stay in front of the downs and distances. Can't start making mistakes early. Hold on to the rock. Obviously, turnovers are a massive, massive point of contention when it comes to Zach Wilson in the past. So keep it all in safe mode to some extent. But don't put the training wheels on Zach. Joe S. says, maybe Zach will surprise us. Maybe he will. I've got faith. He's number 2 pick for a reason. Lewis B says, it's obvious that Hack is far better coordinator than LaFleur. I have no worries. Yeah, I think just relationship-wise, too. I went to training camp last year with LaFleur, the year before with LaFleur. This year with Hackett, drastically different. Now, of course, you have Aaron Rodgers, so there's going to be like a lot more hype regardless. But like Hackett is very much a different offensive coordinator and personality than Mike LaFleur. Going from an introverted offensive coordinator to like first-time offensive coordinator to an experienced offensive coordinator that like loves talking with all his guys and has open lines of communication and wants guys to celebrate and have fun. Going from rigid to like loosey-goosey. I like it a lot. I don't know. Says it took Zach 3 years to become the second pick, third year in the league. Maybe he's coming into his own. That's true. 3 years for him to really earn that top, one of the top quarterback spots in that draft. Maybe this is where he starts to turn around. 3 years is not uncommon for quarterbacks to kind of click. Remember, we used to have quarterbacks sit on the bench for a long time, or at least like 2-3 years. He had to learn on the job. And then when he was supposed to learn this year, he got thrust right back into it. This guy has not been dealt like a great hand as far as where we expected things to go. Rico says, Mike LaFleur friggin' every game. Toss sweep to the left so Michael Carter gets blown up in the backfield. Yeah, got to go north and south. If the offensive line can't block super, super well, I don't want to see like the big, heavy sweeps. I want to see like north-south running. Don't go east-west. Andrew says, run the ball heavy, sprinkle in some play action for a deep ball or two. Yeah, take your shots when you have it. When you see Garrett Wilson lined up one-on-one with someone, take your shot. Take your shot. Just put the ball out there. Trust that he's going to make a play on it. You saw him do it last week on one of the best corners in the league in Tre'Davious White. Why not this week? Why not? Angel said, did you predict Zach's stat line? Did not predict Zach's stat line, but I will say I think it's probably going to be under 200 yards. I think he probably has 1 touchdown through the air, and I could see 1 touchdown on the ground. I think he's going to have 2 touchdowns today. I'm hoping he doesn't have any turnovers. I want to see a clean game, but I don't think he's going to eclipse the 200 mark. This is a really good defense, and they're going to try and rely on that running game. Blitz Crew says, will we have our O-line intact today? I believe so, right? I don't think anyone's hurt. Becton on the right side. AVT, McGovern, Lakin, Brown. Can they continue to stay together? I want to see Lakin kind of take another... I would like to see him play better. Lakin is one that I think could, in theory, wind up being swapped out for Tippmann at some point in the season. So I want to see this line gel a little bit better, kind of settle down. Last week, we got to see them settle down a little bit more in the second half. It felt like there wasn't quite as many nerves. So maybe this week, now that you've had some time to kind of digest everything, you're like, okay, let's go get it. I think the O-line's intact. As far as I know, we should be good. James says, although Hackett running the ball 3 times in the red zone last week seemed like same old Jets. So you're talking about towards the end of the game when we kicked the field goal to tie. That was purely about running clock out. Now, obviously, if you have Aaron Rodgers behind quarterback or behind center, that play calling probably is a little different because you trust him to get the ball inbounds and not have like a weird skipped ball or a stoppage of the clock. Like you did not want to stop the clock at that point and give Allen a chance to go down the field and score a touchdown. So eating the clock, I think, was the right move. I would have done the same thing. It's super annoying because you wanted to get that first down and try to run out the clock in its entirety and kick the game-winning field goal. But you know what? It is what it is. You're also asking Zach to do some stuff that he was not prepared to do. No matter how much you say, oh, the backup quarterback's always got to be prepared. 4 plays into a game, when the starter probably took every rep leading up to it, maybe not the time to do that. Andrew says, any word on Greg the Leg? Is he in or out? I heard he's out. We signed a new kicker for right now. Ooh, Matthew says, for anyone that is a student, YouTube made a student plan for Sunday Ticket, $300 off. Great deal. Might have to enroll in some classes. Get the student discount. Rico says, if Zach has over 200 yards, it's because our receivers made something happen after the catch, but hey, that's what got Garrett and Brees for, right? Yeah, as long as you get the ball into our playmakers' hands, I don't care how far down the field it has to be. I trust these guys to put their foot in the ground and make a guy miss in space. Ant Jet says we need a statement win today. Yeah, last week was kind of a statement win. This one would be like, hey, look, we're not rolling over. This team's legit. They'll take the Jets a little more seriously. Right now, we're getting a lot of the doom and gloom. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is gone. This is a good football team. Will B says, can we make a scene on Twitter? Win or lose tonight, just try to get Woody to make last week's helmets permanent. Last week's helmets and uniforms in general, I hope they are our uniforms moving forward next year. After this season is when we're actually allowed to change our jerseys. And I would love to see those be like, or at least some sort of iteration of those. The helmets, yes. Helmets are a home run. And I would love to see a white helmet with a green logo on the side as well. I think like those two helmets, and then have a white and green home away color with the new throwbacks. I like that a lot. Blitzcrew says Brown and Becton questionable for today is what I saw. Oh yeah, I saw that. I did see that. It was him, Brees, and it was Brown, Becton, Brees, and Zerline. Zerline is out, but Brown, Becton, Hall, all listed as questionable. I'm sure they're all going to play. I haven't heard anything major about that. Blitzcrew also hops in and says, milk thumbs, baby. Milk thumbs. Hit that like button, boys and girls. Michael says, I read Zach Martin is questionable. Update on this. I did see he was questionable. I'm assuming he's probably going to play, but that he is going to be hampered by some type of ailment. I heard Chuma Edoga is in the game, so I'm assuming right tackle. Is that right? So that offensive line is not what it needs to be for Dallas. So it's going to help us for sure. Matthew says, I like the chicken more than the milk thumbs. That's weird. Yeah, the chicken's... the milk thumbs is more of like the green bean... the milk thumbs for the Talking Jets panel. But I added a little animation for the chicken. You guys can see it right here.
Listen, you're out of here!
Boom! Oh, jeez. Dallas says, underdog just said Brandon Cooks won't play. That helps us. I'll take that. Boom. All right. Boys and girls, I think that's going to be it for me for right now. Football's about to get started. We got about 5 minutes before the 1 o'clock games kick off. So, guys, Jets have to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Defensive line, you got to beat up on a Cowboys offensive line. Offensive line, you got to gel, and you got to try and neutralize a lethal Dallas pass rush by running the ball and by using some RPOs or some screen passes to keep them off balance. Guys, let me know your thoughts below this video in the comment section, what your keys to the game are. And as always, go Jets.